morning, martial artists and martial arts fans. Coming at you with another episode of Martial Mornings. We're your hosts, Jimmy.
My name's Vic.
Today we're going to go over the upcoming UFC 260 card, along with some weekly news. Let's get right into it.
So, a lot of stuff to get into. Rolling back in from last week, coming off a really nice card. I think we definitely enjoyed it. It was fun to watch. Some predictions that we made last week ended up coming into fruition, so that was fun to see.
Tai Tuivasa got his first round knockout.
Yes, he did. Your boy Vic calling the shots out here.
I was let down, sadly, by the Bays.
Yeah, Cheyenne Bays did not have a great night. She was talking a lot, though. She was talking a lot.
I was really upset about the way she kind of took the L, because she posted on her social media when your opponent headlocks you, and she put on a certain number, like it's 7,000 times or whatever.
Yeah.
And, it sucks, but you gotta adapt it. You feel me? You can't be letting that happen either, because at the highest level, if this girl can do that to you, then imagine what people at a higher level are gonna do to you.
Exactly. So for some people that might not know, Cheyenne Bays, right? Is that how you pronounce her name? She made her UFC debut. She's a fighter, female fighter, 125, right?
Yeah, coming off from the Contender Series.
From Dana White's Tuesday Night Contender Series, which a lot of up-and-coming fighters that fight at lower organizations, they get called up to fight at, and she showed out, and it was a UFC debut. She looked to show someone up. She got a late replacement opponent, and the opponent ended up figuring out a way to suffocate her, take her to the ground, and really, ruin that debut for her. So shout out to Charat.
And her husband, that same night, he actually started off the prelims. He also took the L.
Oh, dude.
It was off the jab, got overhanded like 3 times too. He wasn't able to figure out that sequence, and he got put away. It was pretty bad.
So just an overall
little summary.
It's a long drive home for those two, for sure. So that's just a part of it.
And Holland also in the main event.
Yeah, Holland in the main event ended up taking the L. I think it was a lot of Brunson just coming out and doing a lot of what I thought he would do, and just coming out hot and really not having any fear against the up-and-coming rising star in Holland, and just showcasing why he's been at the top of the division for as long as he has. Derek Brunson at 185, he's been in the top 10 for a long time for a reason. So
what I gotta give him is he was able to push through the adversity. He did get rocked, and he was able to keep going. So veteran move. I also didn't like how Holland was performing. I do need to say that he was rushing his shots way too badly. He was crashing into Brunson insanely bad, and he was almost getting overexcited, and he would basically place his hips right into Brunson. So Brunson almost didn't necessarily have to even chase the takedown. Just time it right. So honestly, it was perfectly stylistically for Brunson to take advantage of all that. So Brunson was really able to show out against Holland on this one.
Yeah, most definitely. A really good win from him now. Probably, he said he wants Costa next.
That'll be
in
exciting.
His post-fight. So if the UFC decides to give him that, it'll be interesting to see. Hopefully we get to preview that fight soon. What else do we got going on? We also got Jacksonville card coming up.
So the first live event with a crowd.
Full crowd in attendance for that fight. We're actually looking at the tickets today, trying to see if we can get the boys to go, huh?
Yeah, we're seeing if we can go up there.
Trying to see if we can figure that out. But that's going to be exciting to see. How do you feel about getting a full crowd together after everything that's been going on lately?
Dana said he was going to be the first one to do it. He's not lying.
He's making it happen.
So you can't say that it's unexpected.
Right. Because
he's been saying it. Honestly, go at your own risk. If you're against it, then, hey, man.
Yeah, I just feel like, I feel similarly. It's kind of it's a touchy subject, and I feel like, it's just kind of good to see, things kind of somewhat going back to normal in some way, and the only way to really figure out how to get back to that normal is doing things like this and being the first to do things and seeing what happens, good or bad, and adjusting from there. So hopefully the UFC is able to be a trailblazer for that for the next year or so, to get back to that normal we want so bad. Absolutely. Chimaev, who we slightly mentioned last podcast, has officially announced he's going to be back soon.
Yeah, I saw he posted on his Instagram, fun. Actually. So, nice. Exciting. Yeah. He actually teased Neil Magny, no?
Yeah, because that was originally the fight he was supposed to get, but that fell off. So, hopefully that fight actually does end up happening. They make that fight again, and he's able to really continue his rise up the 170 division. So
that would be exciting.
Yeah, so Chimaev, for some of you that might not know, he's a Russian fighter, up and coming fighter who last year just kind of made a huge splash into the UFC. Fights at 170 pounds, 185 pounds. Just kind of has shown in all of his fights that he's good everywhere. He knows how to grapple. He knows how to take people down and hold them there and smash them there. And he smashed people. He smashed people real bad.
Yeah, he's real good, and he's insanely young. So for his age, to have that kind of skill level is very impressive. He's a beast. He's a monster.
100%. People talk about kind of title runs he can make against,
which is insane. You don't see people coming into the UFC and they already start
his
comparing.
His hype train definitely has a lot of steam rolling for it.
To instantly come in and start comparing, how would he compare against the champ? That's crazy.
Yeah, absolutely. So Chimaev is definitely someone to watch. If you don't know too much about him, definitely look into him and figure that out. His last fight before his supposed retirement was a really nice finish in the first round, so definitely look out for that. We also got 155. He's got a championship fight. Michael Chandler versus Oliveira. How do you see that one going, man?
So
for the vacant 155-pound title, with Khabib officially retiring.
I feel some type of way about Chandler getting the shot, but say I'm not surprised.
Yeah, I mean, he did fight Hooker, who was coming off
a loss,
and
he hasn't even fought for the title.
For some of you who might not know who Michael Chandler is, he's a former Bellator lightweight champion, fought against the Bellator 145-pound champion, Patricio Pitbull, and he actually lost that fight in a champion versus champion bout, and he finished off his contract there, came to the UFC, and fought against a very good lightweight named Dan Hooker, and knocked him out in the first round, and really showed that he had no nerves coming into the new organization and, you know, solidifying himself as a contender.
Mm-hmm. And then we got Oliveira, the Brazilian. Yeah. He's a monster. He's actually
Charles Oliveira.
His ground game, his striking is constantly improving. We've seen him grow up right in front of us in the UFC.
He's been in the UFC since he was 20 years old, man. Isn't he the holder for like the most submissions in the UFC, something like that?
I can't tell you the exact
I'm pretty sure Charles Oliveira has like the most submissions in the UFC. I'm definitely gonna check up on that, but 100% he's a really good grappler. He's been in the UFC for a long time. He's beaten a lot of good guys and kind of made his jump up to the top 3 very quickly. So it's an exciting bout. Controversial to see that it's for the whole lightweight title, not an interim or anything like that. But, you know, we'll see what happens.
I got olives on that one.
You got olives on that one?
It's the jiu-jitsu. I think it'll be able to compete well enough against the wrestling. And then, like I said, his striking is constantly improving. So I think he'll be able to surprise a few people.
I'm honestly not sure how I'm going to call that one. I'm going to definitely look into it more as it gets closer. But
of course.
Last in the news, before we get into the card this weekend, is finally Dustin versus Conor. The rematch supposedly set July. So that's very exciting. Not for an interim belt, supposedly. At least not yet. From what we've heard, Conor Mcgregor versus Dustin Poirier. I'm sure a lot of people know about that fight, about that rematch that was. Conor McGregor getting knocked out for the first time in front of everybody.
Insane. Well, the Mayweather, if you want to call it, but
I mean, he didn't get knocked out.
Yeah, right. Though. He was standing
onto the floor.
He was on his feet still.
Like, nobody's seen that happen to Conor McGregor, but that was just crazy. And it's going to be really exciting to see if he's able to make adjustments to this new Dustin Poirier, because I just personally feel like a part of me feels not fully, but a part of me feels like it's almost unfair to consider this a trilogy, because they're such completely different fighters at this point in their career. You know what I mean? It's almost like a completely different series.
That's fine. You can still consider it a trilogy. I'm really curious about how Conor's gonna adopt a new style for those leg kicks.
Yeah, those leg kicks are killer, and those leg kicks, we kind of talked a little bit about it last week.
It's such a big thing now.
Yeah, it's like the new meta. It's the new meta. It's you know, you got to incorporate that into your arsenal.
So I want to see how creative he can be with that. And yeah, I'm looking forward to that one. Could be a good one. So July gives him a full 3 months, full training camp. No excuses. Can't
Absolutely.
wait.
So yeah, that's pretty much all we got as far as going into the news. Let's get straight into this card. We're going to go into the main card a little bit. More like a lot of it. We're going to go through the whole main card.
A little bit of
prelims. We got a couple prelim fights that we want to talk about and mention. So we're going to start with those. The first one I want to talk about is Shane Young versus Omar Morales, a 145-pound fight. Shane Young, a city kickboxing guy. He's famous for, not famous, but his Haka weigh-in in one of his fights. Kind of got a little bit of traction on social media. So that's kind of something he's known for.
For those of you that don't know, I'll pull up a little clip.
So Shane Young, Australian city kickboxing guy, known for being tough and rugged and, ready for a brawl whenever it's called for. So
yeah, he's coming in at a underdog in this fight, actually. Plus 145. Omar Morales is coming in at a favorite, minus 182. Shane Young is 13-5. Omar Morales is 10-1. So Shane Young, in his last fight, he actually got knocked out. He actually had a previous fight with Volkanovski.
The 145-pound champ.
Yeah, the current 145-pound champ. It was actually at a catch weight at 150. During that fight, he got out-wrestled, got out-struck. And
it wasn't a good look for him
It wasn't.
It was a teammate versus teammate fight, which is very interesting. You don't really see that in MMA.
Yeah, that could
really
have actually played a factor. Who knows?
Yeah, who knows mentally what those guys could have been going through. I mean, obviously, Volkanovski didn't even think twice about it. He just went in for the kill in that fight, 100%. I mean, it was interesting that it was a catch weight. I wish we could have learned a little more about why it was a catch weight, not 145. Young is actually, he has a little track record at catch weights because he actually fought in the knockout you were referring to in his last fight was also at a catch weight at 150. So interesting to see that. And
hadn't his opponent missed weight?
Yeah, his opponent, he didn't miss. He was he wasn't a catch weight. I'm sorry. His opponent was overweight and weighed in at 150, but it was a 145-pound fight, but he still took the fight anyway. So that just kind of shows he doesn't really care
necessarily
if the opponent wants to come in, if he wants to be professional or not about the weight.
He's there to fight.
He's up for a fight, and that has its risk, as it showed in his last fight. But that could play to his advantage, and it shows that he's still willing to get in there no matter what. So that's what I got to say about Shane Young as far as that goes.
Yeah, and I see him against Omar Morales, who likes to switch his stances a bit. Fought in the Contender Series, actually. He trains out of Hard Knocks MMA. His last fight was real aggressive, good ground and pound. He has a good chin. He can take a good shot, too. I feel like this could be a pretty good fight, actually, to be honest.
Lost his last fight, no?
He did.
He lost. It was a decision, though. He didn't get finished.
Yeah, he didn't.
He lost his undefeated streak. He was 10-0 going into that fight.
He took some shots in that one, too.
Yeah, he took some heavy shots. He fought against a glory kickboxer who was making a transition into MMA. Omar Morales, like you said, fighting out of Hard Knocks. He's an aggressive guy, Venezuelan guy.
Yeah.
Like you said, brawler style. Very good stand-up from what I've seen. Nice boxing. As far as, MMA style boxing goes. I mean, he fought a really tough guy, man.
Yeah,
he fought a really tough guy.
Chikadaz.
We definitely, I don't know how to say that name. I think that is Chikadazi. Really good kickboxer, man. From what I saw in that fight, really good kickboxer. Like you said, Omar took some shots, so I think he's going to be able to take some shots in this fight.
He has a good chin.
Two really tough guys at 145.
This should be a good scrap, to be honest.
Shane Young and Omar Morales. I'm going to take Omar Morales in this one. And I'm going to say he comes out on top. He finds a way to get Shane Young to the ground, because it looks like Shane Young had a bit of an issue with grappling in those last couple fights.
Right.
I'm not saying he's a Volkanovski type of grappler, but I think Omar Morales has enough grappling and has learned from his first loss that he needs to do what he needs to do to win and not try to just firefight with his opponent, just go for the win. So I'm going to take Omar in this one.
I think that's a good pick. He's actually the favorite in this one.
I say decision as well.
So yeah, I agree. We also got Alonzo Minifield versus Charat Fabio. Alonzo Minifield is coming in. Oh, we actually couldn't get the stats for this one because he got a last-minute replacement.
Yeah, this is like the second or third guy that Minifield has actually been scheduled to fight for this card.
What a mess.
It was a 72-hour replacement. Fabio Charat. I think Fabio is his first name, actually. Not exactly sure.
Fabio Charat, right.
But former LFA guy.
Yeah, 7-1.
7-1. As far as professional MMA goes, actually won the LFA championship against apparently a very rugged and gritty veteran, according to his coaches. From what we saw, man, he's a really athletic guy. 6'1",
super heavy-handed,
205 pounds. This being at light heavyweight, and I just think he's very flashy. He's got some nice kicks.
Yeah, he has a
very
fun style.
strong.
I actually really liked watching him.
Yeah, the little bit that we got to watch of him for this fight it's interesting, man. It's a good fight, and I think fighting a guy like Minifield, it's a little scary. You know, Minifield he's a monster. He's huge. He's 6 foot, which is a little small for the light heavyweight division.
He's very aggressive,
but,
very explosive.
Yeah, he's a light heavyweight guy. Like we said, fought out of the Contender Series. For those of you that may not know, he's fought guys like Ovince St. Preux, who has fought John Jones before, and was putting up a really good fight against Ovince St. Preux until
he got knocked out.
Until the very end of the second round, he had just finished a flurry, and while Ovince St. Preux was going backwards, just landed a very clean left hand that put Alonzo Minifield clean out.
Yeah.
So Minifield is a really strong, really good fight for Fabio Charat. I think this is a sleeper for fight of the night. To be quite honest with you, these two guys love to get in there and
slug it out.
They like to slug it out and put on a good fight. So
yeah, what I'm thinking about Alonzo Minifield is hopefully he can fix that error, because he looked great against OSP. He just got overconfident and got caught.
He's a little too wild.
So if he can find a way to keep good pressure but not get overconfident against Fabio, maybe he could do good. I can see him doing good. But Fabio seems very patient in his fight that I saw. So
yeah, I just think Minifield has really good grappling, and he needs to showcase that in this fight. And if he's able to do that, I think he can come out the win. But I think I'm going to take Fabio Charat, up and coming. I'm going to say Fabio Charat knocks out Alonzo Minifield in the first round.
Nah, I'm going to go with Minifield on this one. I'm going to say Minifield learned from his last fight, go out on a whim here. And I'm going to say that he's going to apply pressure in the proper way. And maybe not necessarily finish Fabio, but I'm going to say he's going to get the dub.
Can't disagree with you there. But I do disagree with you. There. Exactly. So, UFC 260, officially the main card, going right into it. We're starting with a 155-pound bout. We got Malarkey versus Worthy.
Jamie Malarkey, 12-4. Kama Worthy, 6-17. And Jamie Malarkey is coming in at a plus 100 underdog. Kama Worthy at a minus 137 favorite. I like that Jamie Malarkey, he had fought Volkanovski, so I mean he's had experience.
He was 20 years old now.
The champ, and he was 20 years old. Sadly, he got finished terribly, but
super bad.
You gotta say that at least he's had experience against some top level guys. I like his jab; it's very snappy. He doesn't load up on it. It comes out right from where it is. So good going on him.
I mean, like you said, man, he fought Volkanovski when he was 20 years old. Volkanovski was like 26 already. He was kind of already coming into who he was, even though he was still new into MMA. They fought over in Australia. It was in the Australian Fighting Championship. I mean, Alexander Volkanovski, he's a newer fighter. Not too many people know about him. He beat a really famous champion in Max Holloway, but fighting a guy like that at such a young age, I think definitely, like you said, is an upside for Malarkey, and it just shows like what he's been through and that he's been in firefights with top level people. Yeah,
he definitely needs this win too. He's currently on a 2-fight losing streak, so
yeah, 100%. And he's fought guys like Volkanovski, like you said. He's fought guys like Brad Riddle, which was supposed to fight on the last card last week, which unfortunately his fight was canceled the day of the fucking card, which totally sucks. And I really feel for him and Gregor Gillespie, who I was really looking forward to seeing fight that time. But
mad disappointing.
Yeah, but Malarkey did fight him back in October 2019. Lost a unanimous decision to him. But I think Malarkey showed in that fight, learning from his past, that he knows how to stay in there. He knows how to fight with some top-level guys. And, hopefully he's able to showcase in this fight that he's learned from his mistakes. Like you said, he lost against, in his very last fight, he lost against the French fighter. I think he goes by the name of Smile Killer. I think if you lost against a guy like that, you definitely got to come up with a fight.
Yeah, well, we'll see if he can make proper adjustments.
And Kama Worthy is a cool fighter too.
So
I think the UFC's definitely, this is a fight they're trying to push these guys and put them out there for people to see.
So Kama Worthy is a beast. He has 9 knockouts, 3 submissions, 4 decisions. And I was watching an interview of his. We were actually, and I really like his mindset coming into the fight. He's not, because he lost his last fight against Ottoman. but he's not dismotivated by it because it happens. It's a part of the game. It's something that if it ends that quickly, what can you do? There's not much that you can adjust. Obviously, there's always adjustments that can be made, but it's a part of the game. So I like that. He's not deterred by the fact that he lost. He's had some great knockouts in the UFC, so if anything, I feel like it's going to motivate him more to want to give a good performance against a guy like Jamie.
Yeah, I agree 100%. The interview we saw for this upcoming fight week with Conor Worthy was really cool. He seems like a really fun guy. I think it's gonna be a really fun fight to watch. It's gonna be a good fight to start off the pay-per-view and
good warm-up.
Very good warm-up. I'm gonna take
Worthy, no doubt for me.
You're taking Worthy in this one?
Yeah.
How's he taking it?
I can see him finishing Malaki because he plots a bit. He has shown that he can get caught. He has shown that he can get taken down. And like I said, he's currently on a 2-fight losing streak. I don't see too much variation in Jamie's striking, so I'm going to go with Worthy on this one.
All right, I can't disagree with you. I'm going to take Worthy in this one too for similar reasons. I think he's a bit more of a skilled fighter as far as that goes, and I think he's going to showcase that in this one. Maybe the only thing Malarkey can really do to take this one, I feel, is just apply the pressure and not let him showcase the skills that he has. And if he's able to limit him and pressure him, then he has a chance. But I don't think Worthy's going to allow him to do that. So I think he's going to find the finish inside 2 rounds for sure.
We got a women's flyweight, 125.
125-pound fight.
Julian Robinson and Miranda Maverick. So Julian Robinson, 25. Miranda Maverick, 23. 10-2 for Maverick, and Julian Robertson 9-5. She's coming in at a 145 underdog, and Maverick at a 182 favorite.
Yeah, so Julian Robinson, she's a younger, more of a up and coming women's MMA fighter. She fights under Dean Thomas, which is a very well known jiu-jitsu fighting coach in the MMA world. He's a former fighter himself, and
he was actually the one that gave her black belt.
Yeah, she's a black belt in jiu-jitsu under him. He's trained people like Tyron Woodley, who's the former 170-pound champ of the world, and a lot of other American Top Team guys, which American Top Team is obviously one of the most well-known,
higher-up gyms,
more prominent gyms in the world.
The creme of the creme.
That just kind of goes to show the kind of foundation she comes from, and she's young. She's 26 years old. She's very aggressive, very nice on the ground. She changes levels very well from the highlights I saw of her, from the fights we saw of her. She knows how to really change levels,
100%.
Box, just switch it up on her opponent and apply the pressure. So I really like that about her, for sure.
She won her last fight against Pro Gonzalez, a rear naked choke first round.
There you go.
She has good stand-up, decent enough to hang in there. And fantastic ground game. So I think she's actually a pretty well-rounded fighter. She had actually lost to Talia Santos, but that girl is a beast.
Yeah, Talia Santos is another up-and-coming fighter. She's really nice. Hopefully she gets a fight soon and we're able to talk about her a little bit more because I love her skill set.
Yeah, and then we got Miranda Maverick, who tends to get creative at times. I saw
a little too creative, huh?
Yeah. I saw in her last fight she was throwing out Superman punches. She did land a really good elbow down the middle, almost like a shield. Style? Yeah, no, not elbow coming up. Yeah, like a shield almost.
Like an uppercut elbow.
Right.
Type of situation.
She landed it against Jojo.
But that's the elbow that cut her up.
Busted her nose.
And cut her up.
Doctor had to stop the fight.
Yeah, that was a doctor stoppage in her last fight against Jojo. It was at the end of the first round. Like you said, that was a really good fight. I think Jojo was putting up a good fight too, another up-and-coming women's fighter. But yeah, I mean, Maverick is another one. She's really aggressive. I noticed in her last fight she likes to push the pace a lot, sometimes at the expense of taking shots herself, which is obviously something that any pressure fighter has to deal with and has to know how to deal with. So I think it's going to be interesting to see if Roberson's able to find a way to suppress that pressure and finds a way to take Maverick to the ground, because that's something I feel like we didn't really get to see all too much, was Maverick, her defense on the ground and her jiu-jitsu defense. So I'm going to take Roberson in this one. I think her black belt under Dean Thomas is going to show out,
factor.
For whatever that that is worth. You know, Dean Thomas is respected as far as that goes. So I think she's going to find a way to get Maverick on the ground and find a submission somehow.
Yeah.
And continue her streak.
I actually 100% agree. I'm going to go with Julian Robinson.
What were the odds for that one again?
She's actually the underdog.
Robertson?
She's a plus 145 underdog. And Maverick is a 182 favorite. It must have been the most recent finish she got, the elbow.
Yeah, that's true. Finishing.
That's probably what it...
I mean, they're both coming off finishes, so... It's probably the record, too. Maverick being 10-2. Robertson being 9-5. But the next fight is a very exciting one. I'm super excited for this fight. 135-pound fight, bantamweight fight. We got the up-and-coming superstar, undefeated, Sugar Sean.
Not undefeated.
O'Malley. He's undefeated, if you ask him, okay?
Oh, my God.
According to him, he did not lose that fight against Marlon Vera. Sugar Sean O'Malley is he's an up-and-coming guy off this Contender Series, another guy off the Dana White Contender Series. He had a really nice knockout there who earned him this contract, and ever since then, he's been putting on some pretty good fights, man. He's been a fan favorite as far as that goes.
He has until he took his first loss and started acting like a little asshole.
He didn't feel like he lost that fight, man.
My thing is,
he was winning that fight. He was doing well in that fight. I will give him that. He was fighting that fight well. He was doing well. You know, he just got unlucky and kicked in the wrong spot, and his leg gave out on him.
Conor and Dustin.
I mean, I guess, but not really, because he just ate headshots. And that's what really slept him, not really the leg kicks. The leg kicks slowed him down.
They played a huge factor.
But he didn't kick him in the leg, and that was it. You know what I mean? Like, that's kind of what happened.
And also, Sean O'Malley has showed before to have something wrong with his legs. He threw a head kick against some guy. The dude blocked it, and he fractured it. And he went down, and he was able to win, but
that was his first pay-per-view.
Because it was the last round.
That was his first pay-per-view fight, yeah. But Sean O'Malley's a good guy, man. I mean, as far as fighting goes, he's a great fighter. He shows out for his fans. He shows his fans a lot of love. He's a very flashy fighter. He likes to throw flashy kicks. Has really nice, slick boxing. Pretty sneaky on the ground. We haven't been able to see too much of his ground game as far as that goes. But as far as his training shows, he's got something to show, man. And I think coming off that weird L that he took against Marlon Vera and seeing what Thomas Almeida has done in his last couple fights, it's going to be interesting to see how this fight goes.
So, how some people say fighters have a suspect chin, I say O'Malley has suspect legs. Because them shits be failing him every fight. What I like about Thomas Almeida is he had said he's definitely going to try to use the leg kicks. So that already is going to have to make O'Malley work in a different way. Like I said, his legs have failed him before. And I've liked the kicks that I've seen Thomas Almeida throw in his previous fights. But something I don't like about him is that I've also seen he can be a little bit too patient, which then could make O'Malley dictate the pace. And if O'Malley starts to dictate the pace, then O'Malley can definitely start to take over on that fight. And once O'Malley can get flowing, he can start to get flashy, he can start to look good and put you away. So Thomas Almeida can't be waiting too long.
I just feel like Thomas Almeida still got rust on him, man. He's still coming back. Had a super long layoff after that Cody Garbrandt loss.
He is on a 3-fight losing streak.
And then he lost against Rob Font. Cody Garbrandt, who gave him that knockout loss. He's a former 135-pound champ. That's the fight that really took Cody Garbrandt to the next level and led him to the championship. So, I mean, after that, he fought Rob Font, who's not really a super great contender, but he's a guy that sticks around and he puts up some good fights. So, Thomas Almeida used to be a guy who was in the top 5. So, he's still trying to work his way back to that. I think fighting a guy like Sean O'Malley, it doesn't really give him it gives him upside, but I feel like it's too much of a risk for him at this point in his career, in my opinion. And I can see Sean O'Malley getting the win here in this one, to be quite honest.
Something I need to point out is O'Malley's record is 12-1, despite what you're saying. And Thomas Almeida is 22-4. So Thomas Almeida has definitely had a lot of more experience in the octagon.
Yeah.
And it could play a huge factor, man. Like, experience can go a long way.
No, it does.
It can go a long way.
It does go a long way. I just feel like Almeida, in his last couple fights, the ones we've seen, he's not as fast as he should be, I feel like he was a lot faster. You know, that could be age, that could be rust, that could be a lot of different things. But I just feel like he's not going to be fast enough for O'Malley in this fight. You know, and it's going to be a case of seeing if O'Malley's body can hold up. And if it can, and he's able to do what he wants in there, I think O'Malley comes out with the win and finishes him inside Probably the first round. What are the odds here?
O'Malley at a minus 335 favorite. Thomas Almeida at a plus 250 underdog.
I mean, there you go. For the bettors out there.
And we also got our co-main event.
The co-main event.
Tyron Woodley versus Vicente Luque.
It's a great fight. Like we mentioned a little bit earlier before, Dean Thomas, protege, Tyron Woodley, former 170-pound champ, knocked out Robbie Lawler to earn his championship.
It's had some crazy ass knockouts.
Had some crazy knockouts. Insane power.
Two guys who got knockout power.
He's fought guys like Stephen Wonderboy Thompson, who's a karate specialist, 170-pound guy. You know, he's fought Darren Till, who's a British Muay Thai style fighter. You know, he's fought all kinds of fighters, man. He's 38 years old, getting up there in age. Former champ, coming off 2 really bad losses. You know, so this fight kind of determines, is this former champ making his way back to the top, or is he washed up, and are we seeing the end of Tyron Woodley here? That's ultimately the question.
The end of a former champ.
Absolutely.
He really hasn't looked good in his last 2 fights against Usman and Gilbert Burns. He looked so... Oh, actually, Colby, too.
Yeah, he lost Colby. 3 straight fights.
He was way too hesitant in every single damn last one of them. And in the Colby
decisions.
And in the Colby one, he even... No, Colby was finished.
Colby did finish him.
And,
oh, my goodness.
And in the Colby one, he said that something he's going to do is he's definitely going to let his hands go. Where?
Yeah.
He even said he was going to do it, and he didn't do it. I feel like regardless of what he's going to say, it's going to be in his mind. He may try a little bit at the beginning of the round to go out of his comfort zone and have to push because he's forced to at this point. He's lost too much. He needs to go out of his way and see what he can do.
Yeah, I just feel like, you know, Tyron Woodley, something happened mentally, man. It could be COVID. Right. It could be a lot of other things. I just feel like he hasn't been able to really channel his that beast he has within him. You know what I'm saying? Like, Woodley he was one of those guys that was just like otherworldly, man. That power that he possesses. And
yeah, there was a point in time where I was like, I don't think anybody can beat Woodley.
Yeah, exactly. Like, he was that kind of fighter. So it sucks to see, you know, him drop these fights and lose these fights the way he has, and you can just almost tell that it's because he's just mentally not there, not necessarily physically, unless he's injured and nobody knows. It sucks to see, man, because you want to see the former champ, you know, find his way and retire or find his way out with grace, but the way he's lost against guys like Colby Covington, you know, the way that he trash talked with him back and forth, you know, seeing him lose that fight, you know, fighting with guys like Usman, who just kind of totally dominated him and
in every single way,
you know, played with him. Kamaru Usman, the current 170-pound champ, you know, he's just super well-rounded, and Tyron Woodley felt that and lost his belt to him because of that. And it's just, you know, I hope Tyron's able to find his way and, you know, is able to put up a good fight against a guy like Vicente Luque.
Right. And Vicente Luque is coming in at a favorite in this one, at a minus 265 favorite. He's on a 2-fight winning streak. His last wins were against Randy Brown and Nico Price.
Good fights.
Last loss was to Wonderboy, and he's never been knocked out, actually.
The decision,
little fun fact there.
Decision against Wonderboy, I believe that was the BMF card as well. Yeah, that was the MSG BMF card. One of the last live events that the UFC had with a full crowd. And yeah, man, I mean, Vicente Luque he's a really well-rounded fighter, Brazilian guy.
He's a brown belt.
Brown belt in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu.
He's many knockouts.
He's a finisher, man. He's got a lot of great finishes. If you got time to look up Vicente Luque top 5 finishes, the one that the UFC put out, insane. The kid has style. The kid he's strong. He's wild. He's fast, and he's got disgusting ground and pound. That Vicente Luque.
I like his patience. I like the way he approaches fights. He's a smart fighter. He's not reckless. Even in Wonderboy, even though he lost that fight, you could still see he never gave up mentally at any point in the fight. He always kept pushing.
Yeah.
And also, like I'm saying, the way I've seen Woodley lately, I feel like Vicente Luque will be able to show out and look real good in this fight.
I mean, he's a young lion, man, and that's something that hasn't really favored in Woodley's, way. The last Young Lion that he put out was Darren Till, but that was years ago, man. So I think Vicente Luque, if he's able to come in with the right game plan, and if Tyron Woodley is still not able to really, find his way back to who he was when he was the champ, then I can definitely see Vicente Luque coming out with either a decision win, and this being a 3-rounder, or, possibly even finishing, Woodley. But I would call a decision, if anything. I think Vicente Luque finds a way to get this one out.
Yeah, not many people can finish Woodley, so I can see that. Vicente Luque by decision. So, our main event, Francis Ngannou.
For the World Heavyweight Championship.
Baddest man on the planet versus Stipe Miocic. What do you think is going to go down?
I mean, Stipe Miocic, Ohio native, firefighter. I mean, family guy. This guy is considered the greatest heavyweight of all time in MMA. He's beaten Daniel Cormier, who was John Jones's arch rival.
Most heavyweight title defenses, like you said, in UFC history. I mean, this guy, he's a striker, man. He's Croatian background with his parents. He's just a fighter through and through, man. He's beat some of the who's.
He's beat a whole lot of people. He's beaten guys like, he's beaten Overeem, who...
He already beat Ngannou once.
Alistair Overeem is a legend. This guy used to fight in Pride. This guy's fought in everybody from, Fedor Emelianenko to, Vanderlei Silva to you name it. And, Stipe's beating guys like Verdum, who is a guy that many people thought was another one who was considered, up there to possibly be the greatest of all time. He unfortunately, fell into trouble and wasn't able to realize that potential. But, Stipe's beating a lot of top guys, man. Had the trilogy with Daniel Cormier, like mentioned before, and this guy just shows out. And he had eye surgery after his second fight against Cormier. Was finally able to get that fight and finish the trilogy and really prove that, he really is the best heavyweight in the world right now.
Yeah, I can't deny Stipe. There's been many times I've doubted him. I thought he was going to lose. I swore he was going to lose the second DC fight. He proved me wrong on that one. I like the way that
he was able to find those body shots, man.
That he could mix everything up. But if you notice, he's not much of a kicker. He's a boxer and a wrestler.
He leg kicks a lot, though.
From time to time.
He's got that lead leg kick.
He's more of a boxer and a wrestler. And it's raw. It's an interesting style because I feel like you almost don't see it a lot. I was watching a few breakdowns of his, and he actually, even the way he stands defensively is different. Mm-hmm. He stands on his back leg instead of mainly centered or leaning forward, and it benefits him. He's just smart. He's a really smart fighter. He's a champion for an absolute reason, and you can't deny the man's greatness. And then we have an absolute monster on the other side of the cage who's going to fight him, who he already beat once, so mentally that's a win already for Stipe. He's in his mind, he did it once, he can do it again, why not? And so now the test is to see if Ngannou can find a way to adapt, not gassing, and finding a way to stop the takedowns. Can he do it? We'll see. Also, what can Ngannou do to mix it up? What can he do to catch Stipe off guard? So I feel like Ngannou might start throwing leg kicks, which one leg kick of this dude can already knock you off your feet.
Right.
And also something I need to point out is I was watching sparring footage of Francis Ngannou and Cyril Gane, and Francis Ngannou was using a lot of body shots.
Right. That's what I was going to get to.
I think that is something really interesting worth noting, because what if instead of hunting for the head, which is what Stipe is going to avoid, moving side to side, all over the place, up and down, you attack the body, which is going to be a lot more stationary, mix it up with some leg kicks.
Right.
But you still have to be defensive enough to not throw a leg kick and get taken down, because of course Stipe can be waiting for that, for the perfect leg kick, time it, take him down. Of course. So we got to see how Ngannou's going to approach this one.
Yeah, I mean, very interesting that you pointed that out. I was going to mention that, Ngannou in the first fight, it was his, Ngannou's come up was so fast.
It was.
I mean, this is somebody that was getting compared to, like, Mike Tyson, like the modern-day Mike Tyson. We're talking about being compared to cars, as far as Dana White comparing him to a Ford Escort going as fast as it can go, and that's how hard he could punch. and, you know, a sledgehammer getting swung from overhead. You know, this guy was very much hyped up. He had a very quick rise. He knocked out Alistair Overeem, who was a guy whose opponent he had in common with Stipe. And that knockout against him went viral, man. I mean, that hype around him that he got so quick was definitely, I feel, a big part of it. And he even talks about it in the come-up. Not saying it's an excuse. At the end of the day, you're a mixed martial artist. You're in this for a reason. And you know what you're signing up for. But I think it definitely affected him mentally. I think, you know, he mentioned that he wanted to get it done as soon as possible. You know, when he fought that championship fight because of, you know, the bright lights and whatnot. And I just feel like if he's able to overcome that, which I think he can because he's lost already. He had the embarrassment against Lewis, which kind of was, you know, people were shitting on him for that fight against Derek Lewis. Derek Lewis was supposed to be one of the most exciting heavyweights around, and him, you know, that was hyped up to be one of the best heavyweight fights probably ever. People were very excited about that fight, and it ended up being a total sleeper. So, I mean, if he's able to learn and he's able to make up for what he messed up in that first fight against Stipe, and he's able to get over the bright lights and the nervousness and the whatever it was, and he's able to execute a game plan, find body shots, use kicks that he's learned, and show some evolution in his game, maybe there is a chance that he can beat a guy like Stipe Miocic. But ultimately, if Stipe is able to execute ground game, we all know what happens when it's a striker versus wrestler matchup. And
he's had a good amount of time to develop too, Francis Ngannou.
Has.
So,
and he has very interesting matchups that he's had since that fight.
A lot of wrestlers, actually.
A lot of wrestlers, right? Which was a very weird fight. You know, former heavyweight champion Cain Velasquez, that's a good name to have on your record. But when you really watch that fight, it's really weird. And, you know, he definitely hit him. He definitely knocked him out. He hurt him, but it's a weird fight. But, you know, you're talking about Curtis Blade. You're talking about Junior Dos Santos. Yeah. You know, you're talking about all these guys that are really good heavyweight contenders. So if he's able to... Rosenstrike, you know, another guy who was on the come up very quickly, but showed very quickly that he was able to hang with the top guys in the heavyweight division. So if Ngannou's able to, you know, get over that hump and he's able to, like, show evolution in his game, there's definitely a chance he could win. But I feel like Stipe is going to be able to execute, you know, a game plan. But something I definitely need to mention is the significant strikes that these two have absorbed. There was a tweet I saw. I forget who tweeted it. I want to go back and give you credit. But
Stipe has absorbed a lot more. Significant
strikes absorbed since their first fight. Stipe has absorbed 311 significant strikes since their fight in 3 fights.
Oh, since
their first fight.
So
since
DC?
Francis Ngannou and Stipe first fought. So the DC trilogy.
That's crazy.
He took 311 significant strikes in those 3 fights, and since then Ngannou has fought 5 times and he's only absorbed 31 significant strikes.
Crazy.
So you're talking about almost a 10 times difference or 100 times difference.
I think that's a real thing. When people get into wars and chin starts to deteriorate.
We're talking about a lot of damage here, man.
Exactly.
So I think that just shows Francis' chance of landing that shot
and putting him out.
I don't know how many of those shots Stipe's going to be able to take, because he did take a couple shots in that first fight.
Exactly. You can't avoid, it's so hard to have
every shot.
Exactly. It's so hard to have a flawless victory. You know? You're going to get hit at least once.
And he's going to go for takedowns. He's going to try to use his wrestling, but to say he's going to go in and get a flawless victory, you can't say that. So it's going to be interesting to see what happens. You know, it's the heavyweight division.
Anything can happen.
These are 2 monsters. And it's going to be really, really, really exciting to see, and I can't wait for this fight.
This one is going to be one.
I'm going to say Stipe wins this one again. I'm going to say Stipe wins this one again. He's taken a shit ton of damage since their first fight. Ngannou has that one-punch knockout power. But I just think Stipe is just the more cerebral fighter, and I think Ngannou might have PTSD from that fight, man. And if that kicks in and Stipe is able to find that grappling, I think he comes out with the win, and he's able to find a way to either finish him with some ground and pound, like him being on all fours and Stipe on top of him and punching him from the side, or just finding another decision and coming out on top as the heavyweight champ. And I think Stipe retires if he wins this fight, man. I think he's done after this. I don't think he has anything more to prove.
He's already 38, no?
Yeah, he's old, man. He's up there.
Getting to 40.
Late 30s for sure.
knows?
So, but I take.
He
Stipe
seems like
in
he
this
enjoys
one.
it.
But I take Stipe in this one. But he's a family guy too, so.
I'm gonna ride with Ngannou.
Really?
Because I don't know. I like the man. I've always liked him. I've always been a fan. This isn't nothing new. And I like his personality, and also I feel like he's had enough time to evolve and also to set up a proper game plan. And he has proper coaching now, which he was also saying he didn't have back at the time, and he wasn't training properly for the title fight. Right. He almost was overconfident for it. And so I really like the mindset, his turnaround on this one. So I'm gonna ride with him. I'm gonna believe that he's gonna set up a proper game plan, and that right hand, even left hand, anything is a game changer with him. Honestly, he could blow at you and he'll probably knock you down. So I'm gonna ride with Ngannou on this one.
It's gonna be interesting to see.
Can't wait.
That's it. It's been Marshall Mornings.
Leave a like, comment, subscribe, share. Let us know what you guys think.
All that good stuff.
Peace.